Welcome back to the May edition of NMRAx. Today we have the Education Chairman from the Pacific Northwest of the NMRA and the show promoter for the Operations N-Scale Weekend in Evanston, Wyoming, which is this year at the end of July. And all the way from Post Falls, Idaho, we welcome Lee Calkins. And with him today, a partner in crime in this event in Evanston, and also the NMRA president, as most of you know, all the way from Scotland, just Gordy.
Thanks, Steve. So today we're going to talk about a little event we've got going on in Evanston, Wyoming this summer. It is the N-Scale Evanston event that we did it first in 2021. It's going to take place July 24th through the 28th. We're in the roundhouse and machine shop that were owned by Union Pacific. It's now owned by the city of Evanston. And we've rented the building for those days to set up modular N-scale layouts. We've got the machine shop, which is 15,000 square feet, and we've got a Fremo N layout that'll be in there. And then over in the roundhouse, we'll have an N-track and a T-track layout. In 2021, we did this event for the first time, and really we did it because the NMRA canceled the National Train Show. The N-Scale convention got canceled, and we were all kind of bummed because we had some big plans that year to attend those shows and set up some big Fremo N layouts. And we started discussing this in January of 2021, and the topic of setting up in the machine shop in Evanston came up. And so we made some phone calls, and in looking at Evanston, it's really the center of the western United States. 660 miles south is Mexico, 660 miles north is Canada. The Pacific Ocean is 660 miles away, and we really get most of the way through Nebraska the other way. So it was a good central location. There's really not much to do in Evanston other than the event that we put on. Salt Lake City's the closest major airport. It's about 85 miles away. We threw this together in about 120 days in 2021. We ended up with about 56 people coming from 26 of the United States. This is the layout that we had set up. This building is the machine shop. It's 15,000 square feet. And we had about 1,200 linear feet of Fremo N modules. There's some complications with this building. Those green squares you see on the screen are the columns from the interior of the building. And there's actually 2 cranes that are still part of the building. In the early 2000s, the city of Evanston refurbished the shop here, and they put in a heated floor, replaced the windows, and really updated the building. They use it for weddings and city meetings in there as well. What's fun in Evanston, they also have a turntable, and the roundhouse is still there. The turntable's operational. This is the group photo from when we did it in 2021. The Union Pacific Employees Club is currently working on restoring the steam locomotive that you see in the back of that photo. As part of E24, Evanston 2024, we're going to have a tour again. We'll do a group photo on the turntable again. So we'll get everybody on there. The following are just some photos of the layout. The layout was big enough that this train right here is 33 feet long, and I ran it on the Saturday morning while we were there at the event. This is the whole entire train sitting on one of the mountain loops that was in attendance. The building was built in the 20s and has a lot of windows to allow natural light in, and that natural light really helps with photos. This is early Saturday morning again, watching the sun come up across the layout. You can see the end of the grain train is actually way back here. It fades off into the distance in the yard that's back there. This is just a view of the railroad. You can see one of the cranes that's still in the building, standing right there. But there's all the modules that we had set up. before everybody shows up in the mornings. Just some more views of various modules. This is a Afton Canyon module that's modeled after Afton Canyon, I believe, in Southern California. This is a bridge in Utah. So now, wrong. For E24, some of the things that we're going to have going on is we've got a bunch of clinics scheduled for E24, and these are some of the topics that are going to have clinics on. We're going to have a clinic on LCC, a clinic on MSS, some clinics on advanced weathering and weathering. John Doring is going to provide a clinic on the future of NRail and N-scale model railroading. Lowell Smith from Lowell Smith Hobbies, who does those really nice N-scale passenger cars and special runs, he's coming and is going to be providing a clinic. Chris Brimley, who was with Exact Rail and is now with Scale Trains, is coming up, and he's got 3 clinics that he's going to be giving. One is on Scale Trains and what their plans are for the future. And then he's got a clinic on coach building, and then the Hudson Terminal, which is a model railroad that he has at his house. We've got a clinic on fire trains. One thing that's been a big topic for the Fremo N layout this year is MSS, which is the modular signaling system. And about 1/4 of the Fremo N layout is going to have modular signaling on it. So we're going to have a couple clinics on that. It looks like Gordy Robinson's coming, and he's going to give us a clinic on 3D printing and Fremo N modeling. And Speed will be there and doing clinics on Arduinos for us. Jeremy Jansen's got 2 weathering clinics, and he actually contacted the place that is providing, that he uses their materials to do weathering, and they're sending me some door prizes to give away. I haven't announced that yet officially, but as soon as they get here, we'll make an announcement on those door prizes. Tom Johnson's doing something on decoder programming. Tyler Hartman, who works for that Orange and Green Railroad in the northern United States and southern United States, is going to do a clinic on ABS. RJ Piper, who produced that wonderful photo of our group photo, is going to be here again, and he's going to do a photography clinic. Brett Isaacs is doing clinics on 3D printing and design. Unfortunately, Frank Wilhelm had to cancel. He had some things come up, so we won't be getting a brass etching clinic. We got more clinics on 3D printing and mini dioramas, and some undetermined clinics that are still in the mix. The N-track layout that we'll have, this is a rough representation of that. It's going to be over in the roundhouse. It's 54 feet by 24 feet. The T-track layout is also over in the roundhouse, and this is a brief overview of what it looks like. The main layout that in the machine shop will be the Fremo N layout, and it is that right there. That represents about 1,700 linear feet of modules. There's over 500 sections. We've got modules from all over the United States, and we've got 2 guys flying in from the UK bringing modules. One of them is Stephen Quick, and the other one is our favorite Gordy Robinson. So, and if you look on here, you'll see little tiny green and yellow dots. Those are all the places where we've got MSS signaling on this railroad.
And so people can find out about MSS signaling by going to modularsignalsystem.info. That's the website.
Yes.
If people are wondering what we're talking about.
Yeah,
we'll pop that up.
It's a really cool system that allows plug and play signaling. if the modules are set up correctly. You can build it into modules, and you can also build it into your home layout if you choose to do that. So it's been around since about 2011. A little bit of an overview of Evanston. Evanston's in the southwest corner of Wyoming. It's right on the border with Utah. Utah's Wyoming border's right there as we come into Evanston. Evanston was originally part of the Union Pacific main line that came across the United States in the 1860s. They started building an engine facility here in Terminal and in the 1920s, and in the late 20s they moved all that facility and all the maintenance down to Ogden. And so the Evanston buildings became really a maintenance away facility until the mid-70s. And then in the mid-70s, Union Pacific pulled out of there and donated the buildings to the city of Evanston, and Union Tank Car, or the predecessor to Union Tank Car, used it as a maintenance facility for all their stuff. In 1997, UTLX built a new facility next door over here and pulled out of the machine shop and the roundhouse. And the city of Evanston decided to turn it into convention space and rent it out after that. So they've put a lot of work into renovating the buildings and really making them look nice inside. So those are the buildings. This is the machine shop here. The roundhouse is, the exterior is all renovated and everything is cleaned up inside. We're going to be in this portion right here of the machine, of the roundhouse. This portion over here with the white roof and the other half of the gray roof is mostly storage, but it is, you can go in and we'll get a tour of that area. There's a steam locomotive in there, like I said, that they're working on refurbishing. Evanston is about 9,000 people. They've got a bunch of hotels down here on the freeway. We do have a Walmart, so we're not too far out in the boonies. Okay. Do we want to go over the Fremo Inn layout, Gordy?
I think, yeah, that picture of the layout was absolutely huge, and I think we need to go through section by section and show people what does this really look like, because it's just so big. It looks like a bowl of spaghetti there, and it's difficult. I know people like to follow from one end to the other if that's possible, so we should try and make that as big as possible and go from one end to the other if possible.
Yeah, I've got it blown up into 6 different sections. There really isn't, there is one end of the layout to the other end of the layout, but there's 8 or 9 different loops on this layout and about 10 or 12 different modules that are just stub end modules. So if we start here, this is my Farragut loop. That's a model of Farragut, Idaho. It's an old naval base. I did a clinic on this at the Dallas NMRA convention. It's also been on display there, and it was on display at the N-Scale convention in Reno last summer. We come down through here across to Green River Bridge, which is in Green River, Utah, and come down this double track through some signals there. I need to apologize to Speed and Michelle. I don't have all the track work in here, but these 4 modules represent a portion of Greeley, Colorado, which is where Michelle Kemplay and the Colorado Model Railroad Museum is at, and there'll be a model of that building on these modules here. We'll come down this piece here. This is a coal loop and a mining loop. It's one of our reverse loops. Come down through a little 4-track yard, and let's hit that next portion of the railroad. There's a 4-way junction that we've got sitting here that's in the bottom of this image and the top of this one here. And we come down into, this is a Troy, Montana yard right here. And it comes around into a staging loop and some staging yards over here. But this module right here is actually a model of the Omaha Union stations that are right there before you cross over into Council Bluffs. So Council Bluffs will be to the south as you come in. So it'll have one station on the left-hand side, and then there'll be, he might get a mock-up of the station on the other side. I'm not quite sure where he'll be by the time we get to the show. As we come down to the bottom, this is a very nice module out of Silicon Valley area in California. This is Lockhart, which I think is in Texas. It's really worked hard on that. As we come up this far side, we get back into the signal portion. So with the MSS signals, you'll see a lot of guys are building modules that are like 1 foot or 2 foot long, and they put the signals on that. And then all the intermediate modules are just detection modules. So we come up, JJ Yard is a model of the JJ Yard that's over in Florida, where they do the space shuttle launches and rocket launches. The guy who designed a lot of this section right here lives in northern Utah, where they build the rocket motors that they ship to Florida. And so he's tried to model both portions of that in various parts, the Utah portion and then the Florida portion. One of the modules he's really worked hard on and is a gauntlet module. So this is a model of the bridge that exists in Yakima, Washington. The tracks are no longer across the bridge, but it was a gauntlet bridge. So there's no switches. The tracks just come in and merge together, and they stay a couple inches apart, so you can get, you're not interfering with the other rail, but you can only get one train across the bridge at a time. So we've got that gauntlet bridge right in the middle of a double track section, and it's fully signalized. He's had it in a event already, and it works flawlessly. It's going to be really cool, and it's going to be really awesome and cause problems on the railroad because it's a double track section with a single track in the middle. We come up through here and we get into Brigham City Yard, which is Stephen's first module that he ever had, and he brought that at the Salt Lake National Convention or train show. That's when that module first showed up. And we come across the top. These string of modules across the top are a group of guys out of Michigan, and they are really into MSS, so much so that they started designing their own boards and designing stuff for it. I'm excited to see where that goes. Continue across the top. There's another one of the NASA modules from Stephen Henderson. And we come over to this next here, and we get into another one of Speed's modules. This is the Texas Yard module that Speed designed and built for the Operations Roadshow event that we had at the National Convention in Dallas. So this module will be again here, and it'll be a center point for the operations that we're going to be running a couple times during the event. As we follow Speed's module down, we come into a branch line area, and unfortunately this branch line's on 2 different sheets. So we come around the corner and we drop down, and it hits a T right here. So we come around the corner there and it hits a T, and we've got a large industry set of modules here. There's the yard here at the end with the locomotive facility and a bunch of industries down this leg and down the center leg, and then more industries down the far leg of the railroad. And we continue down the main line, and we just head down and just go through some scenery modules and some passing sightings. This is one of the original Fremo N modules that was ever built. Steve Brandon built this in like 2003, 2004, and he's refurbishing it and bringing it back to this show. So we'll have it here. So we come back up the other leg, we come into some more double track scenery modules, and we get to, this is a Plummer Junction that my friend Frank Wilhelm and I built. We're really pleased with this module. It is a representation of the Milwaukee Road and the Union Pacific Junction in a little town in Idaho called Plummer. So it's still under construction. It's probably 60% on the scenery. All the switches are hand laid switches via the fast tracks jigs. Off the northern end, we just have two industrial staging loops, or this one's a staging loop, and this one is a industrial loop. There's a bunch of industries. And then coming back south out of Plummer Junction, we finish the double track and head across that big, nice trestle bridge that the Union Pacific maintenance away train was on that I showed earlier. And then we get into this Mott and Azalea module, and it looks like it's double track, but it's actually single track with two passing sidings on it. And we head back up the other side. Now, one of the things that Gordy built for us last year and brought to the national convention was this four-way cross right here. And the way we're using that in this event, let's go back to the overview and kind of show you the overview of where it's at. It sits right here. And it allows us to build a branch line that crosses a main line. And Paul Bender, one of my good friends out of Ohio, has been working on a way to use MSS and LCC to signalize that crossing so that if there's a train coming across the crossing in one direction, it makes the signals all red in the other direction so we don't have any accidents.
So I put loads of foliage. I put loads of foliage around the four sides of that crossing, just in case it needed to catch anything.
Most of it's still there. It's currently sitting in my garage. I went through and stiffened it up last week.
Cool.
So it's prepped and ready. Now what screen were we on? We were on this one here. So the crossing sits right above us right here. And coming down, we have the branch line. And then the main line comes down through here. And this is Oklahoma City passenger station. Will be in just south of the junction. Come around through Clark Tunnel, which is a tunnel in Southern California. And this little module right here is also Gordy's module that he built for the National Convention last year. And we come across, here's the rest of the branch line that comes off of the junction. A little bit of a yard here and a terminal area. And then we come down the main line and we come through Horseshoe Bend, which is in California. And he's got it. It's a really cool model. It's a 3-track main line through there. But Fremo N only has a 2-track standard to follow. So it's built to the 2-track standard. We come across through one of our major yards that'll be used for operations. We come through on the yard on double track, and we hit this is the California Steel Industries module. The same guy that did the Horseshoe Bend module did this module set, and he's put a lot of work into it. He's got a lot of work left to go, but it works really well, and it's really cool. I've been watching him build it over the last 5 or 6 years. And coming back up through the double track, back into single track and back down. And then back up the far side of the building, and we get back into more signalized territory over here. Coming up through a short stretch of double track signalized track. And coming up the signalized track up the side, we got another branch line here to a reverse loop staging area. We come across the top of the building, and you notice these 4 lines that come across. Those are the rails that are still in the floor in the building from when it was a machine shop. So that's pretty cool that those rails are still there. Come across, and this is Gordy's module that is currently sitting on his workbench up in Orkney. He's working on that, and is going to get it packed up and bring it with him on the airplane.
It will be done.
It's good to hear. Coming across, we've got the big Silicon Valley yard that they have. It'll also be used for operations. When we come down out of the Silicon Valley yard, which is right there, and come down the side, we've got a junction here that runs us off to a loop. We come down to another staging yard that's here. So there's our coming off that big S curve off the Y. This right here is a passenger yard that is modeled after the passenger yard that's in Grand Canyon, Arizona. So I have yet to see that module, but it looks like he's doing a good job on it. So that'll be there for the first time. Coming through here is Silicon Valley's passenger station they've built. And then coming down, we've got a big 6-track loop that really marks the end of the railroad. And this railroad will be set up to run about 40-foot long trains. So it's about 130, 140 grain car train will be able to run on this layout. I'll test it out. I've got 100 cars packed, ready to go. That grain train that I ran in 2021, I'll have there with more cars on it. Testing out the railroad one early morning. So that's really an overview of the layout. Now,
so Lee, how long do you think it's going to take for somebody to run from the furthest point to the other furthest point on that railroad?
Well, at 6 in the morning, it'll take about 2 hours. At noon, it'll take about 4 hours. Because of the amount of people that'll be on it. So we're hoping that we'll be using Digitrax, the DCS 240 command station, and we'll probably be at about 35 to 40 different boosters on this railroad to get it to run right and provide enough power to operate it. Right now we've got about 80 operators signed up to come and build modules and help assemble this layout. The layout we had in 2021 from start to operation was 9 hours of setup time to get it all ready. And a lot of that comes down to planning. I planned out everything that went on. I planned out where everybody unloaded their vehicles. I planned out what everybody's responsibilities were during the day. I planned out whose modules were where and provided maps. The DCC layout was all planned out with markings of where all the boosters went, what cables went where. Just put a lot of effort and time into it so that when it came to the actual day when we're on the ground, we weren't there for 3 days trying to set up a layout to run for 4 hours and go home. So one of the nice things about Evanston is we have the keys to the building. So I usually get there about 6 a.m. and people were locking the doors and going home at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. So there's plenty of time to operate.
Wow, it's huge, eh?
Yep.
So what's going on with the bit that looks a bit like Poseidon's fork down the bottom here in the middle?
Right there.
What's
the
all about?
That's the industry area. That's there's a small yard in there. It'll be connected. It's connected to the big railroad, but it can be operated as a separate industrial area. Most of those modules are coming out of Minnesota.
So how many states have we got modules from, if we've not worked that out yet?
I think I'm close to 30. I haven't done a calc in a couple days. But there's...
Who's the furthest North American that's coming?
The furthest North American is probably out of Vermont.
Wow, that's a drive, eh?
He's going to fly in. He's given his modules to his friends in New Jersey who are driving. So...
Wow.
We've got a guy driving from Atlanta, in Alabama, and then you're coming from Orkney, and then Stephen Quick's coming from somewhere in the UK.
I only have to drive from. Well, I only have to share a car with speed from Dallas. I'll be fine.
Yeah. From Dallas to Evanston.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So what will happen at the weekend once we've got it all set up? How does the actual operating? It's not just organized chaos, even though it feels like it's going to be organized chaos. So how do we organize the chaos so that the layout actually runs, like, and freight cars go from A to B and things like that?
You see, that's not my problem. I've assigned that out to somebody else to deal with. And on June 1st, I will give them a layout map and an industry map, and they will sit down and pound through some operating scenarios and work that out. So I'm not sure how that's going to work.
But it's operating sessions and things like that.
Yeah, there'll be 2 or 3 different operating sessions. The rest of the time will just be operational chaos. So
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And what else will be happening other than running trains? We've got the clinics, there's
do we do we
food and
need
things and door prizes and all sorts of stuff.
do we need
Well, there's other
anything else
things
but
going on.
trains?
Well, there's real trains too, right?
Oh
Right
yeah.
outside the building.
So Union Pacific, this main line is still right there. There's lots of trains coming by every day. Sometimes even the or the non-sound locomotives in the machine shop make noise as they go by. So we do have 3 meals set up Thursday night. We're planning pizza that has been paid for by sponsors already. Friday night, dinner is partially sponsored by Scale Trains. It is going to be provided by the Union Pacific Employees Club of Evanston. And then on Saturday night, we have another meal, a dinner sponsored. It's a local taco restaurant is bringing up a taco bar, and that's partially sponsored by a construction company out of Texas that decided to step up and help us with that. And that's Ebco Construction, or General Contractors is their name. So the big boy will be in Union Pacific's big boy will be in Wyoming while we are there, but they are not coming through Evanston. In early part of July, they're going to leave Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is on the far side of the state over here, and come across. They'll go through Evanston, they'll go through Ogden, they'll head over to California, and then they're going to come back through Ogden. But at Ogden, they're going to go north up towards Pocatello. They're not going to make it to Pocatello. They'll turn at a little Y they've got right here and come down, and they're going to spend the Wednesday of Evanston. They'll be in Rock Springs all day, and on Thursday they're headed back towards towards Cheyenne. So they won't be there for our event as much as we were hoping they'd stop and park the train and spend a day with us. It didn't work out that way.
That's cool. I'm mega impressed that you managed to organise a big boy being so close.
Yeah, that took a lot of work. And if I could claim any of the credit, I would.
So obviously you're the key linchpin to this whole organised chaos. But who are the people that are putting this on? It's not just you, is it? Who's the group or organisation?
So we decided in 2021 everything was in my name. I rented the building in my name. We went through and did everything that way. And after talking about it, we decided that with a group of the guys that were involved that probably wasn't the best route to do. And so we went through and I spent 2 years talking to people and organizing things, and we got together as a group of people, and we created a club, a nonprofit club. We're nonprofit in the state of Idaho, and we're currently working on getting our federal nonprofit status. We filed the paperwork for that. And that club is called NEG. And NEG stands for the N-Scale Events Group. Our first event is going to be Evanston, and we are trying to put an event together at least once a year. It looks like we're going to try to get 2026 event then. Every 3 years, we're going to continue to do Evanston. So that's going to be an ongoing thing. So in 2027, 2030, 2033, you can count on us sometime in the summer being in Evanston for 5 days to 6 days, renting the buildings there and setting up N-scale layouts and just having fun and going and playing trains.
So there's a couple of important things about NEG that we didn't mention there. One being that it's a 100% NMRA club, which means all the members are NMRA members. And in return for that, the NMRA provides us with insurance that means we can put events on.
Yes.
And also that as a group, it's worldwide. It's not we're incorporated in the state of Idaho, but we're a worldwide group with members all over. And anybody can join the group. And we're looking for locations outside of Evanston, Wyoming, that would be suitable for us to put on similar size 3MON events. So if you wanted to have a huge event in your backyard, so to speak, and you know that there's a suitable location, then I guess we want to know, don't we? And then we can see what we can do. So near an airport is not essential. Evanston is in the middle of nowhere, but it's not essential that it needs to be anywhere. It's more the building suitability and climate control.
And when we've looked at stuff, we've kind of decided that the smaller the area, the better it's going to be, because it's going to be cheaper to run the event there. And we're really not looking so Evanston really isn't open to the public. There's not any vendors or dealers there. Scale Trains will have a booth, but that's the only person that'll be there. There's no swap meets. We're not selling trains. We're not catering to the general public. This is more of an event for the modelers to come and hang out and run trains and just have a good social time. So try to maintain a family atmosphere at this event. So
yeah, 100%. Cool. So people can find out more information by going to nscalemeet.info.
Yep, that's where the Evanston page is, and the Evanston event page is going to be morphed over into the NEG website, and it'll host the event pages as well. So we're down. This is on our webpage, and this is the interior of that machine shop without anything in it. So the clock's
just a Christmas tree for scale, right on the right hand side there.
The building's 150 feet from the door there to the identical door behind us, and it's 100 feet along that far wall.
Wow. And we'll fill it with N-scale trains and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, so we did 1,200 linear feet then. We're almost 1,600 to 1,700 linear feet now.
Cool. We're going to need a bigger building.
Oh, there are other buildings, but then we start to get into other issues. Right now, my biggest concern is DCC communications, whether the DCC system and standard can handle the communications we're going to run through it. So we're going to find out.
Yeah, there's only one way to find out. Power on board is not easy in N-scale.
Nope.
So 45, was it 45 boosters, 45 power districts or something like that?
Yeah.
Wow. So we'll see if there's any questions. Hopefully Speed's got some. But if you're interested, if you're an N-scaler, if you're not an N-scaler and you want to get involved, go check out the website. Let us know. Still time to get modules in there. Just not much time. But 1st of June is kind of the end of it. When we've got to start doing the ops. So if you've thought, oh, I didn't know about this and I'd really like to get involved, then go to the website and register and see what we can do. But if you come, you work. Everybody works, right, Lee?
Yep, everybody's there. It's a pay-to-play event, and you pay by it's $50 to come, and that helps pay for the building, and you pay by showing up and getting assigned a task, and you do it. Because it takes everybody to get this up and running as fast as we can. So,
any deadlines for signing up?
Sign up for modules is June 1st deadline. Sign up to come is going to be July 1st.
So could people just show up or not on the day of?
Nope, there won't be registration the day of. you have to pre-register through the website. That way we know what we've got to order for food, and we know what we've got to order for name badges. There will be 4 hours on Saturday that will be open to the public from noon to 4. That was when we did the 2021. Afterwards, people said, well, you should have had some open time. We'd have come up and seen it. So we decided to give 4 hours of public time this time. The rest of the time, it's closed to the public.
Cool. So you answered the question about, is this interfering with the big boy?
No, the big boy's interfering with us. We were scheduled first.
That might be true. On that,
that is true. That is true.
on that photo you showed of the empty building, was that rail on the floor?
Yes, that was the rail in the floor.
And that's still there?
Yep.
Connected to something outside?
Yes.
Wow. So you answered the question about in your operations, what do you use for car forwarding? It sounds like that's not your choice, or
I don't know yet. We'll find out.
so what did they use last time? Can we?
Last time we just ran dispatcher ops. Everybody grabbed a train and listened to what the dispatcher told you to do.
So, at the height of the moment, how many trains do you think would be running at the same time?
80.
80 trains. Wow. I think some DCC manufacturers would be interested in seeing this. Or
You think they would, but no one will answer my calls or my emails.
wow.
Well, if you've now seen this and you're interested, then get in touch.
Because I've talked to NCE, I've tried to call TCS, I've tried to call Digitrax. So it's where it is.
Okay. How often did you say this event's going to happen?
It'll be in Evanston once every 3 years.
Okay.
But seriously, folks, we're looking for venues across the United States or Canada that we could hold this kind of an event every year in a different place, rather than once every 3 years. So
You mentioned 26. Do we know where?
We'll be in 27 in Evanston. 26, we haven't picked a location.
Okay.
We'll meet again in August after Evanston and hopefully nail down a location then.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. But the NEG group is also supporting the NMRA's Ops Roadshow team and putting on the Ops Roadshow in 26 as well. So, and I don't know what we're doing next year, but the Fremo N community has supported the bringing back of Ops Roadshow over the last couple of years, started in St. Louis. So, it's not just a one event a year kind of group. It's a really good group of people. So
yeah, I spoke with John Young last week about helping with the 2025 convention in Novi, and he's accepted that. And then we'll be working with Operations Roadshow in 2026 and beyond to do the operations layouts at the NMRA conventions. That's our goal to
That will be Chattanooga, right, Gordy?
Yep.
26 will be Chattanooga. 27, who knows?
Okay. So
maybe somewhere near Evanston, ideally, because we'll be back in Evanston.
No.
Can you better arrange the big boy, maybe?
I'll see what I can do.
So, are there other things to do in Evanston or the surrounding areas?
There's a golf course down the street. There's some trails across town. We're there to play trains. I haven't really looked into it.
There's big trains. There's a Walmart. I mean, what more entertainment do you want, right?
There is a group of guys that are buying some tickets for the Heber Valley Railroad, which is an hour and a half away in Utah, to go ride the passenger train down there through Utah.
And I do know in Green River you can walk across the yard on like a footbridge, pedestrian bridge thing.
There's an elevated footbridge in Green River.
So.
But we're starting at 6 in the morning, and we're finishing running trains at 1 a.m. How much time have you got to go and do other things, guys? Right? You're running trains.
5 hours.
Well, some people sleep speed, right? So, there's plenty of things to do. My children are staying in Orkney for a reason. So,
my wife and kids are coming with me. So,
Okay, here's the
But
tough question.
they'll play trains. My kids are a bit too small for that yet.
Lee, here comes the tough question. Who decides in this layout where what modules go?
Me.
And how do you decide that? What's the
Oh,
process?
I don't think we have enough time. Because what I just showed you is like the 300th iteration of what that railroad looks like. Every day I sit down before work and look at it and go, okay, what's not working right? Are my passing sidings in the right locations? Are my industries in the right locations? Do I have loops at the right spots? Are the junctions going to function? Are the reversing sections on the junctions in the right spots? Am I going to foul the main up if we put a yard here? Do I have switch leads on all the yards?
Cool.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is Council Bluff. Well, Omaha is in the bottom left-hand corner, and my module is the Council Bluffs auto rack yard in the far top right of the layout, right? So it's probably more than a scale distance between the two in real life to get from here to here, right? So there's no rhyme or reason. It's just designed to get you guys to have the maximum bit of entertainment. I mean, it's going to be if you go there, I guarantee it'll be one of the biggest layouts in terms of scale mileage you're ever going to get the chance to operate on because of the distance. It might not be the biggest layout. I've operated on 900-foot linear feet layouts. I've operated on some pretty big layouts, but because it's N scale, in terms of scale mile and N scale is what, 32 or 33 feet?
33.
And there's 33 feet, and there's however many, 1,600 feet. Do the math, figure it out. It's a lot.
We're at 50 miles of track of just modules.
So why is this not a Guinness Book of Records thing?
I don't want to get into it. So the guys who did the Guinness Book of World Records thing helped write the standards for doing that. And part of that is they have to assemble the layout, take the layout down, and reassemble the layout in the exact same condition in a different location.
So hang on. So I think we're confusing two things, right? I've got very careful because the person who holds that world record is a very close friend of mine, right? So it was the world record for a sectional model railroad, a model railroad that is the same that moves. This is a modular railroad. There are modules in it. They come together and it is a one-off thing because that's the whole point of modular railroads is they can be flexible and be dynamic. That layout gets set up in that configuration every single time. So we could easily write to the Guinness World Records and say, we want to make the biggest Fremo N scale Fremo layout that there's ever been, we think, right? But there's nothing to stop the guys in Europe possibly of having something even bigger, right? So there are big Fremo groups in Europe as well. It's not let's not get into a pissing contest. The two things are completely different. That there are completely different standards in a completely different thing. So that world record, people are getting muddled up and thinking that world record is for the biggest model railroad, and it is not that. It is for the biggest model railroad that is a layout that can be moved and dismantled and reassembled in exactly the same way. It's not the same, because otherwise, how would the T-track guys have a world record for the largest T-track setup? You know, that they did in Kansas City. So anyway, let's not go there. It's touchy. It's a touchy subject. There was because the previous largest model railway or largest model railroad has had to put formally the largest model railroad in the world on all of their social media stuff. So yeah,
Cool.
someone will come around and do something bigger.
That's the end of the questions. Any closing remarks before we go to the elevator music?
See you in Evanston.
Yeah, if you're not in N scale, why not?
So with that, we're going to go to elevator music and come back with some clinics from Australia that we may or may not introduce. They might just play. See you in a few minutes.
Don't adjust your set. We've put the filter on. They're going to be the right way around. They won't be upside down.
Correct.
Thanks, Speed.
See you guys soon.